Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant and Beach Club right next door, so you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor, for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week we're going to have a twofer. I'm going to take you to a very popular sports bar called Captain Don's, and you're going to meet the owner. Her name is Berenice Martin Del Campo, and while I'm at Captain Don's, I'm going to introduce you to a couple who help people obtain their temporary or their permanent residency in Mexico. Their names are Amy and Bill Triplett, but before we get to Amy and Bill and to Berenice, let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 23rd of June, 2019. Well, last weekend, Grill Kings was a great success, according to the event planner Edgar Rivas. Edgar was very pleased at how the first edition turned out and says he is planning on the second one for next year. And by the way, there was no rain. No rain got in his way. In fact, Vallarta is still waiting for their first really big rainstorm of the season. So it's way past my birthday. It's way past the date, June 15th, when the season kicks off. But so far, the weather has been hot. It's been humid. And they need some rain. It's been a long time. And there's been a little rain, but not enough. And they have their water shortages over in Punta de Mita. And in El Tuito, they've got some big water drought shortages kind of up there, too. I talked with them about that. And, it's due in part to the growth that's happening there. But they're digging a new well over there for the community, and it's badly needed, and they're going to get it soon. But, of course, the weather is going to turn their way any minute now. They're going to get some rain, and that is a very welcome thing. This coming Thursday, our friends over at our favorite orphanage in Puerto Vallarta, Corazon de Niña, are going to be having their second annual graduation ceremony. It's going to be at the Marriott Hotel in the Salon de Vallarta room. The ceremony starts at 5 o'clock in the evening with appetizers and refreshments. Seating is limited, and you can find out more and reserve your seat for this lovely and heartwarming event. Just email over at Fundacion Corazon de Niña at gmail.com. That's Fundacion, and Corazon, Corazon, Denina at gmail.com. Fundacion Corazon de Niña at gmail.com. And again, it's this Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. It's going to be at the Marriott in Puerto Vallarta, so don't miss it if you're in town. And speaking of orphanages in Puerto Vallarta, next week I'm going to take you to another orphanage. It's called RISE, Refugio Infantil Santa Esperanza. They're up in Colonia Benito Juarez. And RISE actually needs your help. They're looking for volunteers during the summer months when the snowbirds all go home. And they need people to come on in and help fill in the gaps while they're gone. So next week we're going to be visiting those kind folks up at Rise. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, there's not a whole lot of things happening in the Bay. It's the beginning of the slow season, as you know. You can still, you could take a tour over at the Naval Museum over on the Malecon. We went there a couple weeks ago. It is very inexpensive. It's 45 pesos, so you get over there and check it out. It's air conditioned too. Over at the estuary, they have tours of the mangroves, I believe, and they're bilingual guides there, and I believe they're still running those things. So you can get over there. That would be very interesting if you're in town. You need something to do. I got a message from my friend Marcia Blondin, and she tells me that the Marsol Market is still going. So she asked me to remind everybody that every Friday morning, the Marsol Market over in the Hotel Marsol is still going on, and it goes from 9:30 in the morning until 1:30. So thank you for that reminder, Marcia. And it's actually good to see that there's still some things happening in the slow season. You can always take a tour of the SPCA Puerto Vallarta, and I will have a link in the show notes that will show you how to do that. I think they do those on Thursdays, and they meet over at the Costco, over at the parking lot over there. So that is another thing that you can do while you're in town. JR, of course, he has his weekly meet and greets, and he's over at Kelly's Por Favor Saloon and Cookhouse every Tuesday during the summer, and those start at 5:30 during the summer months, and they go for a couple hours till about 7:30. So if you're in town, why not stop by, say hi to JR, buy him a drink, and shoot the breeze with him, and maybe talk about taking a tour. Who knows? Then, of course, every Sunday, from 6 until 8, they've got music and dancing over at the Municipal Square. And it's just beauty and excitement there. It's just gorgeous. It's a lot of fun. You can watch the older and younger couples dancing to, swing and all kinds of music. They have different bands that play during the night. So Sunday nights are wonderful. On the Malecon, they've got the acts over there at Los Arcos, at the amphitheater there. The families strolling around, people lining up and buying food over at the food booths right along the side of the Naval Museum there. Just a fun time. Sundays are magical on the Malecon. So those are things that you can do when you are in town, other than taking tours and so forth. I had an interesting experience or two, and I thought I'd share those with you. I talk about doing that every once in a while, come back and give you a little remembrances of what happened the last time I was in town. I was taking that fateful, sad ride to the airport. You know the one that you hate to do when you have to go home from Puerto Vallarta. And it was at that point that I realized, that feeling that you get when you know you've made a mistake, but I had not purchased any booze to take home to my lovely wife. I had actually made her a promise before I left. I told her that, because she was so kind to, take over the business while I went down and did my work down here in Puerto Vallarta, doing, my interviews and whatnot, that I would bring home some mezcales, which she's been really enjoying some mezcals. So I thought, okay, I'll bring some mezcals for you. And she loves raicilla, so I told her I'd bring her some raicilla. And what do you know? I'm on my way to the airport and forgot that I was going to do it. You know how that feeling is? You break into this little sweat. And you think, you got this nasty feeling in your gut, and you start thinking, okay, now what am I going to do? So I started working out this plan as to what I was going to do. And of course, I'm working out this plan while I'm trying to carry on a conversation in Spanish with my Uber driver. It's very, very interesting. But anyway, this is all going on in my head. I got to the airport, and I had one bag to check, and then I had another bag that was a kind of a roll-away bag that I was going to carry on, and I had my day pack. So those were my two carry-ons. And so I got on my phone and I Googled how much alcohol can you bring back to the United States from Mexico? And the answer was, bring whatever you can. They never checked. They never checked my bag, so I figured I'd bring back 5 or 6 bottles. So what I did was I dropped off my one bag, which was going to be my checked bag, at the counter, and I asked the lady at the counter if I could possibly come back a little later and check another bag, and she said sure. And so I asked her how much time I needed, and she said, you got about an hour and 15 minutes, and that was cool. So I walked back outside, but before that, I stopped over and I bought myself about $100 worth of pesos, about 2,000 pesos. And then I went outside and started thinking about what I was going to do. The duty-free shop inside the airport is a joke, right? I mean, you're going to pay like twice as much for this stupid duty free. I don't get it. I don't understand why anybody does that, other than they get to the airport and they have just forgotten, and so they go ahead and they bend over and they pay that big price. But at any rate, one of the taxi guys came up to me and says, "Hey, you want a taxi?" And I said, "No, I'm actually flying out of here, but I need to buy some tequila." And he says, "Well, you can go over to the OXXO over there and buy the tequila." And I said, "Okay, that's a good idea, but so do you have like an El Coyol close by here?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, he points across the parking lot. He says, "Walk across the parking lot, and then you see when you get to the highway, there's a little brick. Go under there, and then cross the highway, and you'll be there." So, so I So I took off with my roll-on and my day pack, and I schlepped across the parking lot. It was a little bit warm, but, I did it. And then I crossed Highway 2. I held my breath. It was it was kind of busy, you're by the airport and stuff like that. And I crossed 200, and sure enough, there was the El Coyol liquor store right there. Now, the El Coyols are... They're discount stores. They're local discount liquor stores. You find them all over town. And so I was able to buy all of the mezcal I wanted, and they even had some raicilla there. And I spent my $100 on my 2,000 pesos, dropped them right there, and I said, "Hey, you mind if I wrap these up?" And I sat down and I wrapped the bottles up in my clothes and stuffed everything back in the rolling bag. And this time, instead of, walking across the parking lot and crossing the highway, I decided I would just walk up 200 and I would cross, the normal way. You walk past the Tacos de Marlene there and, up the ramp, cross the bridge, over 200, and then back down to the airport. And that was great. That was definitely a better route than crossing through the parking lot, I'll tell you that right now. Although going up and down, I don't know, whatever, one way or the other. I guess it didn't matter. Anyway, I was able to get my rollaway checked in. Once again, got it checked in for free. Thank you very much, Southwest Airlines. And I got all the booze back to Los Angeles without spilling a drop. So, yeah, if you find yourself at the airport and if you haven't purchased your booze, this is actually a good way to do it. The other thing I want to talk about was just another weird thing that happened to me. This is something that actually has never happened to me before in Puerto Vallarta. My behavior is a little different than most vacationers. Sometimes I'm doing interviews, and I do interviews late in the afternoon or late at night. And sometimes I just don't get a chance to have dinner until really late at night. So sometimes like 11 o'clock, maybe even midnight before I can get something to eat. So anyway, I just taken a shower for like the third time, I think, that day. It was a hot day. And it was about 11 at night. Got dressed and I headed over to Pancho's Tacos. I was staying at an Airbnb, which was over on Insurgentes and Achilles Cerdan. And I crossed the street over at Insurgentes, and I started south, heading down towards Basilio Badillo, and I heard some female voices calling out behind me in Spanish, and so I ignored it, and kept on walking. But I got about halfway down the block, and it wasn't like it was a dark, empty street. It was kind of busy night. Anyway, one of these girls was right beside me, and the other one was right behind me. And she's all, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to get something to eat." And she says, "How about we have a little sexy, and you can give me a present?" So looking at her like, "What?" I'm walking along, and here she is, hitting me up. Anyway, I told her I wasn't looking for sex. I was just looking for food. And I thanked her very much, and I kept on walking, and I sped my pace and turned the corner over at Venustiano Carranza, and just headed down towards the direction of the bay. And about halfway down the block, the same prostitute was right alongside me again. And she says, a little sexy for a gift, This is all in Spanish, of course. And this time she decides she's going to reach down and grab my junk through my jeans, of course, and the same offer. Now I'm getting a little mad at this point and a little nervous. First of all, she's grabbing and rubbing my crotch, and then the second member of her prostitute tag team there was like right behind us, kind of, trailing, menacingly, I would think, looking side to side, almost like she was expecting somebody else to come join in the fun. And so, anyway, we were walking along the sidewalk, and I pushed her hand away. I told her kindly, I said, I'm married. I'm interested in sex right now. And she said, "Oh, that doesn't matter." Anyway, I stepped up the pace, across the street, and then I made a beeline for Pancho's Tacos, where I got in line, and the ladies of the night, they kept walking on by. I decided I'd take a taxi home that night, just in case. But that was a little unsettling, just a little warning for you single men out there that are walking alone late at night. Now, when I'm walking around late at night, I'm not stumbling drunk. I had been working the whole day, which meant I had had nothing to drink the whole day. But when I sat down at Pancho's Tacos, all bets were off. Anyway, let's get to a couple emails. I got one here from Shelley and Carl, and the subject is cooking class. They say, "We highly recommend Rosie's Vallarta Cooking for anybody who wishes to experience a day of great food with an excellent host. The day begins with Rosie picking you up at in her air-conditioned van, and a shopping trip to the local market for the day's ingredients. As you walk through the shops, Rosie shares tips about the food and culture. She then takes you to her lovely home, where you cook and eat all day long, from salsas and chips to soup to entree to dessert. It's a culinary and cultural delight. Rosie's menu changes regularly, and she will accommodate food allergies as much as possible. The day is informal. The group size runs from 2 to 8, depending on how many people reserve that day. At the end of the day, she'll transport you back to your hotel. We've enjoyed cooking with Rosie 6 or 7 times. It's become a tradition each year. We've taken friends many times, and they have enjoyed their time with Rosie too. And she shares her recipes. You can read about her on TripAdvisor and on Facebook and on VallartaCooking.com. So I thank you very much for that tip, Shelley and Carl. And I have all of those, the TripAdvisor link and the Facebook link and the VallartaCooking.com link in the show notes for this episode of the show. So thanks for that. Next, I have an email from Chunk. And Chunk says, "Hey, Barry, the wife and I love your show. We've been traveling to Mexico for 20 years and love it there. I usually avoid tourist spots like PV, but we have super cheap flights from Denver to PV, so we've been traveling down that direction quite a bit. We started listening to your podcast and have found it pretty informative. Our last trip down, we met JR in Bar La Playa. The only reason we went to Bar La Playa was because we loved your interview with the owner. Great recommendation. We loved it there. So we decided to go to El Tuito. Again, on your advice, we stayed with Maddie and Jesse over at their La Jolla de Tuito, and it was great. Our intention was to hit the area around Cabo Corrientes. We didn't make it. We took a bus to Punta Perula instead, and we loved it. It was fabulous. Anyway, we love your podcast, and we would love to hook up with you and JR and PV next winter. Thanks for all of your work, Chunk and Becky. All right. Hey, thank you. Now, this is what I mean. Look at what happened there. Chunk and Becky decided they're going to go and do the cool things that we do. They went to El Tuito, but on top of that, they went to Punta Perula. Dude, I want to go there. All right, we're gonna find out about that. Maybe next time I'm down, I'll hit that spot. Thank you again. Thank you, guys. All right, so next I have this email from Chris, and Chris says, "Hi, Barry. Like and appreciate your podcast, as I remember you had some information on a service that would assist with getting a residency card in Mexico. I searched the podcast but didn't see it. Can you let me know who it is?" Now for the food suggestion, he says, it seems that there are a number of sushi restaurants opening in PV, and as quality is important, there are some suggestions would be helpful. Thanks. I hope to run into you someday down in Puerto Vallarta. All right. Well, thank you, Chris. That's great. And thanks for listening, and thanks for sending in the email. Now, I'm going to get to your sushi restaurants maybe next week, maybe the week after. But your first question about getting residency actually happens to be the topic that we're going to cover with our next guests. Our next guests are Amy and Bill Triplett, and they have a company called Gringo for Gringo. It's Greengo, like green and go, and then the number 4, and then Gringo, like, well, you know, some guy from America, from the United States, is called a Gringo here in Mexico. And anyway, they will help you to get your residency. Okay, how about that, Chris? So, anyway, they help people through the process of obtaining residency in Mexico, either temporary or permanent residency. And believe it or not, with all the talk of Mexicans coming to the United States to come and live the American dream, to come and live the sueño americano, there seems to be a trend where Americans and Canadians are choosing to emigrate to Mexico. It's actually believed that about 1.5 million Americans now actually call Mexico home. And the trend is growing with the cost of living going up in the United States and in Canada. People are looking for options to get them through their retirement years. And of course, Puerto Vallarta tends to be trending towards the top of that list for folks north of the border to come on down and retire to. So anyway, Bill let me know, by the way, that he's on disability. So most of the work that's performed is performed by Amy. And Bill is just a pretty face, he says. But anyway, both he and Amy are a fount of information when it comes to what they do. What Amy does, I should say. And that is get your Mexican residency all in line. They run their business from a sports bar called Captain Don's. And we're going to go back to Captain Don's for another interview when we're done here. But before that, without any further ado, let's go right now to the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood in Puerto Vallarta. Let's go to Captain Don's Sports Bar, and let's talk with Amy and Bill Triplett about their company, Gringo for Gringo. Bill and Amy, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
Born and raised in North Carolina, lived there all of my life. This is second marriage for me, but when we came to Puerto Vallarta, Bill and I were still just dating. He took early retirement and wanted to live near the beach. I knew I was in love and wanted to be with him, so took the risk and came.
Wow.
She was in love with the beach.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm understanding this, Bill. Thank you. Thanks for piping in and telling us what that's all about. So you loved Puerto Vallarta, evidently. You spent a lot of time visiting beforehand?
Had never been.
No way. Really?
On the other side of the Mississippi prior to coming to Puerto Vallarta.
Seriously?
So a little bit of a culture shock.
I bet it was. All right. So tell me about that. What was it like when you got here?
Bill came first, and I came about a month later. Had spent some time with my college daughter after I'd closed my house down, sold all my belongings. Flew the first time alone to get to Puerto Vallarta, along with my dog, into Dallas, Texas. Was clueless how to navigate or do that. Once I got here, Bill was at the airport to meet me, and he expressed that they were going to bring me through the most beautiful part of Puerto Vallarta. Sadly, when I came through Puerto Vallarta, I saw garbage in the streets, graffiti on the walls, windows flapping, curtains flapping out of the windows, and I thought, oh dear God, what have I done? We made our way to the condo. It was a magnificent view. It was beautiful. But in the back of my mind, I was still seeing the iguanas crossing the street, the garbage, the graffiti, and thinking, oh, I'm not in North Carolina anymore.
So what?
Yeah.
Okay, so what year was that again?
2015.
2015. Okay, excellent. So did you snap out of that eventually? I mean, obviously you did. You're here.
I did. I've come to really love and the culture, the people, the beach, the weather, everything about Puerto Vallarta, even the graffiti, and garbage day.
See, I mean, it grows on you, right?
It does.
The culture. It's part of Mexico. It's part of that thing. All right. Well, all right. So, tell us a little bit about Gringo. What do you do?
Gringo helps people to navigate how to initiate the process and to get your visa, and then how to turn your visa in and exchange it for your residency card, whether it be temporary or permanent.
All right. So you are doing this probably because you had to do this yourself at one time?
We did this ourselves and did okay the first go round. It took a couple of trips, but after the first year I was temporary residence, so I had to renew the process. At the same time, Bill and I had married, and I was going home for the holidays. And 9 times later, we still didn't have it exactly right. Reached out to a friend of ours who had helped us with the marriage, Javier, and at that point in time he said, you guys have done great, you do know how to do it, blah blah blah. And we were looking for a small business venture. I was of something to do to occupy my mornings and days, and so said, why don't you start helping other Americans or Canadians navigate the process. And so we teamed up together, and that's where Gringo came from.
Wow. Okay. So if somebody was going to meet with you and get the process going, what do they need to do?
Just give us a call or send us an email, and we'll respond as quickly as we can. The first process is to decide which consulate, Mexican consulate outside of Mexico that they plan to visit, to go online and make themselves an appointment. And once the appointment is made, they'll need to be gathering their financial documents to prove that they are able to support themselves while in Mexico.
Okay, so what are the requirements right now?
The requirements are based on minimum wage and days. And the way that they've set that level is that the minimum wage is fewer days for temporary and then more days for permanent. So U.S. dollars, it's about $30,000 to $32,000 per year in liquid assets. So it can't be the house that you own in California or your car or anything else. It's all financials, or a pension of about $1,500 U.S. per month, and it fluctuates based on the exchange rate. And then for permanent residency, you're looking closer to 100,000 liquid assets, and the liquid assets have to be you have to have a year of history with those, and also the same with the pension. The pension's about 22 to 2,500. Again, it fluctuates based on the exchange rate per month.
Okay, and if you have a couple, you just double that, or do they do 1.5 times, or you have any idea on that?
15% more for the spouse.
Okay.
If you're coming in as a couple, some people choose to come in separately.
Okay. Oh, all right. Now, is there an advantage to coming in separately rather than as a couple?
No real advantage. Every consulate has the same rules. However, how they interpret those rules is always a little differently. So for some married couples, they come in and because they meet the financial requirements, they're both given permanent residency. For others, the spouse with the more money comes in as permanent, and that one that's tagging in along at the 15% extra comes in as temporary.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so there is a reason actually that you. I guess if both have great income, you want to do it that way. You want to bring them in separately.
The best option, honestly, is to come in permanent because you never have to renew it. If you come in as a temporary, it's 1 year. Then after the first year, you renew for 3 years, and then after that, you go permanent.
Okay. What are the advantages of living here and having permanent residency?
With your permanent residency or your temporary residency, you're able to open a bank account, get a driver's license, qualify for government insurance. If you're 60 years or older, to receive a senior citizen card, which gives you discount bus rides and airfare and the big bus to Guadalajara. And also, if you own property in Mexico, is probably the biggest reason, is that at the point in time of which you decide to sell, with the right notaria, you can receive a discount in your capital gains.
And you also get to go through the short line at the airport.
Well, I mean, stop everything. That's the only reason to do this. All right. So the people that are coming to see you, I'm guessing for the most part, are people who have, I'm guessing that have bought property, I imagine, right?
Not necessarily.
No? They're living down here.
They're living here. They've decided that this is their paradise, this is their oasis, and where they want to be. Many of them are renting.
And the other advantage, too, for them is that they can stay longer than 180 days.
Right.
On the regular visa, they can stay as long as they care to or stay away as long as they care to without penalty. So,
all right, so let's talk about that staying away, because it sounds like you kept on trying, and then the reason was because you kept leaving, right? So you got to stay for a certain amount of time, don't you, to be able to get your permanent and temporary residency?
There is a time frame of which you need to be here, but much more limited than people think.
Uh-huh.
The initial process with us takes 2 days. After those 2 days, you can apply for an exit permit, which gives you one trip out and one trip back in for 60 days. You can apply for multiple exit permits should the process not be completed. So some people are still working or have got family issues at home that they have to attend to back in the States or in Canada. And so they start the process, they fly out, they come back, they do their fingerprints. They fly out again, they come back and pick up their card. So it's doable.
It is doable.
It just becomes more expensive the number of trips you go in and out.
Guess so, yeah.
And the other thing is, too, that once you have your green card, you don't have to have an exit permit. You can come and go as you please.
Uh-huh.
You're free and clear.
Okay, all right. Well, these are really great things. Okay, so what would, other than not making enough money, what would cause the Mexican government not to want you?
Interpol, that's a big one.
So they do full-on background checks on everybody, right?
They do within the country of Mexico. They look in their system and they do check Interpol. But if you haven't created an egregious offense, everybody has been welcomed so far. And once here, it's so worth the effort. Truly is.
Yeah. Have you ever had any that have been like turned down?
We haven't, but we do have a lot of clients, well, not a lot, but several clients who call us and say, I am unable to enter the United States.
Really?
Is Mexico going to welcome me to come there? And the answer has typically been yes. I mean, those offenses are pretty minor kind of offenses, but for whatever reason, the United States has said you cannot return here.
And so they come here, what, for asylum? What are they doing?
No, they just are looking to retire, looking to get away from, most of them from cold weather.
Yes, those Canadians in the north, the great north. Other than the initial bringing you the things that you need, paperwork and stuff like that, anything else that they're going to need to do other than just keep in touch with you? And
No, and yeah, the biggest thing that we tell people that we talked with prior to their coming to Mexico is that once they get their visa in their passport, they have 180 days of which to use that visa. However, once they enter into Mexico by car or by plane, they have 30 days of which to initiate the process. And that's where we come into play. We do all the paperwork, the bank wire transfer, the electronic forms, and present on their behalf. But when they're coming in through customs, they will receive an FMM. And typically, people who have been visiting and vacationing here, it's marked tourist and 180 days. Once that visa is in their passport, we tell our customers to be sure that immigration sees your visa, stamps your visa, that your FMM is checked for Conhe, which means to exchange, and that in that little box is 30 days.
These are tricks.
Without that, all your work prior is null and void.
Wow. So, so pay attention to that. That is really important. Okay. What do you charge for your services?
For temporary services, we charge 3,000 pesos, and for permanent, it's 4,000 pesos.
Okay, very reasonable. And that includes?
That includes we do all of your initial paperwork. We do the electronic forms. We do the letters for immigration. We do the bank wire transfer. We submit on your behalf. We follow the process. We notify you when it's time for fingerprints, and we go with you to get your fingerprints. Then again, when it's time for your card to be picked up, we again go with you to immigration, check and make sure that everything's correct. And
really? You do that all for 3,000 pesos?
Yeah.
Seriously? All right, you guys, 3,000 pesos. Let me do it in my head. That's about 170 US. So, you know what? What a deal. What a deal. All right. That's cool. We'll get back to finding out a little bit about how we contact you. But before we do that, is there anything else missing in the process that we haven't covered?
I don't think so.
All right, so let's leave Gringo for a minute. Let's talk about Puerto Vallarta, okay? All right, so all of my listeners, they all like to know where to eat. So we're going to talk about where you like to eat. And don't tell me your house.
No, one of my favorite places is the little taco truck right outside of Captain Don's. To me, the best tacos in Puerto Vallarta. They've been in business, I think, 49 years.
Oh, wow.
It's a family-run business. An uncle, a niece, and an aunt that run the business right now. My other spot is probably El Patron, which is close to the soccer fields and the Sheraton Hotel.
What do you like there?
Their Patron shrimp, which is shrimp wrapped in cheese and bacon.
Nice. Oh, yeah. A big kosher meal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
And
what else?
probably Huachos, which is up in Guapanolis, which is going up in the mountains. It has a little more Spanish flair to the flavor of their food, but all open air and just a really cool place. But expect to speak Spanish there.
You got to do that, huh? Or point. Just know how to point at the right food, right? I want that, or just walk around and look at everybody else's food. I want that. I want that. That's wrong. That is so wrong. How about you? What do you think?
About which?
Well, come on, talk about your favorite
Well, look at me. Do I look picky?
Favorite breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Come on. Do I look picky? You're pretty good. Hey, what's the name of that taco stand in front of Captain Don's? You're talking about the carnitas stand?
Yeah,
The one right,
the little
what I'm
stainless
looking
steel
at
one
right now?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't know the name.
Okay, that's all right.
Awesome though. Actually, Captain Don's has great food. If you're ever looking for wings or just like great bar food. And then I'm with Amy. I like what she likes because she tells me I have to.
And Bill likes Sonora del Sol Steakhouse,
Yeah.
La Vaca Steakhouse.
Yeah.
What other steakhouse?
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Any other steakhouses?
Sonora del Sol in Nuevo, excuse me, is phenomenal.
What's it called?
Sonora del Sol.
Uh-huh.
I recommend the Tomahawk, and it's can't beat it.
All right. All right. Any holes in the walls? Any other than any kind of like kind of surprises that you've walked into and just gone, whoa, that was something different. Anything like that?
Coco de Mesa. Mesa de Coco. Is that the name of it?
Mesa de Coco is it's in one of the original cantinas, and it's got all the photos from when Puerto Vallarta was in its infancy, and I believe it was more shipping in bananas. But phenomenal, inexpensive. They give you free appetizers while you're sitting there, and the food is just delicious.
The lady in the kitchen who's cooking, whatever she's cooking that day, she serves to your table, and you're welcome to it.
Wow. Okay, name again is
Mesa de Coco.
Mesa de Coco. Where is that?
Circa de Soccer Fields.
Oh, near the soccer fields. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. That's very cool. I'd never heard of that place. If you were going to leave Puerto Vallarta for a day, just a day trip and come back, where would you go?
For me, probably Sayulita.
Yeah? What do you like when you go there?
I just like it. The streets are flat. It's easy to navigate. It's got some cool little shopping. They have some great deli sandwich and an actual Reuben.
Okay. And now we know your weaknesses here, Pat.
So it's a fun place, and it's a colorful little addition to Puerto Vallarta to take guests when they come.
Yeah. How cool is that? And plus, you get a contact high when you're walking around there, so,
Yeah.
so you get that as well. How about for 3 days? Where would you go?
Guadalajara.
Yeah? What would you do when you go there?
Great restaurants, beautiful architecture, visit the little towns local, and of course the Tonola Market on Wednesday or Sunday.
The shopping. Sorry, Bill. All right, yeah, he's shrugging. What can he say? It's all right. But Amy does a lot of work here.
At
so
some
it's-
point we're going to hit a soccer game there.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Very good. If you had a word of advice for a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta, what would it be?
Open your mind.
Don't worry about that graffiti and
Yeah.
the clothes flapping in the breeze, right?
No. Just get out of the box just a little bit. Look around, look at the people, see how they're living, see how they're smiling, and life is just different and good on a totally different level than the U.S.
Yeah, that's for sure. What should they not miss when they come here?
The food, the people, but I don't think you should miss the opportunity to just try. The people here are loving and forgiving when we butcher their language, and they go out of their way to try to understand or to bring somebody in to help interpret for us. So I would just say don't miss the opportunity to explore or to get to know the local people, because they're wonderful.
Yeah, that they are. Well said. Got anything to add to that, Bill?
I'm good.
Excellent. All right, so tell us again, how do we contact Gringo?
Contact us either by Facebook, which is Gringo for Gringo at gmail.com, or by phone, 322-122-9892, or for a U.S. number, 704-681-8301, or visit our webpage, gringoforgringo.com.
All right, so let's be straight here. It's green as in the color green, GREEN, and then go, and then for Gringo, GRINGO.com.
Correct.
So Greengo for Gringo.com. And the letters in the middle. All right, I'm going to have all of that. I'm going to have the links, and I'm going to have the phone numbers, and I'm going to have all that other good stuff that you will need to get to Bill and Amy. And I want to thank you both for coming on the show. You are so full of some great information. Everybody that I think probably half the people that listen to this show are interested in what you have to say as far as that process. And for 3,000 pesos, you guys, it's a no-brainer. So definitely go and see Amy and Bill. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Amy. Amy is so cute, isn't she? I just love that. I got here and I didn't know what I was going to do. Oh, how funny. Oh, my God. I mean, couldn't you just feel what she was going through right there? That was great. I love her accent. Anyway, let's get on with the show. We're not going to go any further than Captain Don's Sports Bar. Actually, we're going to stay right here, and we're going to be meeting the owner of the bar. Her name is Berenice Martin Del Campo. And actually, I've been trying to get together with Berenice for a long time. I've been trying to track her down and get her to sit with me for an interview. Finally, I was able to trick her into it when I got this interview with Bill and Amy. I asked Amy, please, pretty please, would you please talk to Berenice about talking about Captain Don's with me? And she got her. So thanks, Amy. Thanks for that. Anyway, the bar, Captain Don's, is in the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood. If you walk north on the Malecon, and then the Malecon ends, you just keep on walking up a street. That street's called Avenida Mexico. And eventually, you're going to be passing a lot of South America, each street as you walk along. But eventually, you're going to get to Calle Honduras. That's Central America. Okay, yeah, Central America. Okay. Anyway, you're going to make a left-hand turn right over there on Calle Honduras towards the ocean. And then halfway down the block, you're going to find Captain Don's on the left-hand side of the street. So let's go right now. Let's go right back to 126 Calle Honduras in the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood. And let's meet my new friend. And now yours, Berenice Martin Del Campo, the owner of Captain Don's Sports Bar. Berenice, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Barry.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
Well, I'm from Guadalajara, Tlaquepaque, actually. So I came here 15 years ago. And three of my older brothers came 20 years, and they say, well, that'd be interesting to come and try to figure out how's the life here. So that was my first thing.
Wow, okay, so 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And what did you do when you got here?
Well, I started to work in autumn and high season without English, without all the service. I don't know anything about nothing. So that was my first school, and the Hotel Crown Royal for a year. I worked there, and that was very great experience. That was amazing. So I had great teachers, great people care me and teach me how to do the service, and I love it. I like what I did, so I stayed longer.
Wow, yeah. So how long were you there?
For a year, almost 2 years, actually.
Almost 2 years. And
Yeah.
that's where you learned about the hospitality business.
That's right.
Okay. And is that typical when people come to Puerto Vallarta? They got to find a job. So they're out there looking for a place in the tourist business, right?
Right. It's more easy when you try to get a little more money.
Yeah.
And it's a less competition. Here in Vallarta is totally different in Guadalajara. So it's more easy here because people are so friendly and help you and care you. So yeah,
Wow, yeah.
it's
yeah.
very good. Tourist business is very good.
Excellent. Okay, so after you left there, where'd you go?
Then I worked on the Mexican restaurant Bacchus Grill at that time for 2 years with Charlie and Carlos. They are a great business partner and Kermit too. So that's where I met the manager from the Bill's Bar. And I moved there for 2 years.
Ah.
So that's where I learned my English. I practice better, and I learned about the American shots, American drinks. So yeah, that was more interest.
Okay, so yeah, now you're into the bartending too.
That's
Excellent.
right. I was a bartender for many years.
Wow. All right. Cool. All right. I know who to talk to if I need a drink. then.
For sure, we can try it.
All right. So from there, what happened?
In Bill's Bar, I met Don Olson, was Captain Don, and his wife, Lucille. So he was my customer, and he tried to get me here in Captain Don. So finally I did it after 2 years later. And I worked for him for a couple of years. I was behind the bar, and I was a bartender. Unfortunately, Lucille passed away, and Don was so sad in that moment. And he wouldn't close the bar. He think that was enough for him to do that. And I give it the idea if we can make a business together and help him. And he said, okay, let's do that. Let's try. And now I'm here.
Wow. Okay. That's so. Now I understand. Don passed away.
Don passed away a year ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure he's missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Every day in the morning we always text and make a calls and say, hi, good morning, what are we doing this day? What's the special? Always thinking about the bar, what's the things to do, the next step for the bar. So yeah, I miss my parling.
Yeah.
I miss that part.
All right. Well, let's talk about Captain Don's. What is your specialty here? What do you serve here?
Well, this most totally is that Roberto, our chef, is amazing with the American food. So hamburgers, nachos, quesadillas, burritos, all that stuff. And they try to make a special every day, like a meatloaf, pork chops. And they're so good, delicious. You have to try it.
Well, it's obvious that it's great because you have people that actually flock in here. What's the deal with that? I mean, it's always busy here. What's going on?
We are so blessed. Well, what Don started to do, and we keep going, is always remember the name for the customer. So that's the bar, remember your name.
Wow, yeah.
So it's like your second home. And the next time you show up, we call you for your name. So people appreciate it.
Right, and they'll come back because
Yes.
it's like Cheers, right? You know,
Yeah, of
it's
course.
it's a place where everybody knows your name.
So yeah, we are so friendly, and we love parties, of course, and we love to care all at each other like a big family. That's what we do.
Yeah. You have lots of TV sets around here. You got a
Right.
pool table here.
Yeah.
It's a big place for people to meet to watch sporting events, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We are a sport bar. First thing. So any sport you want to watch live, we got it right away for you. So no problem.
Okay, yeah, and I know that you got Canadians here, so you watch that football thing too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm glad to hear that. I know that's a soft spot for you Canadians
Yeah.
and Mexicans. I know we don't know what's that football thing. Tell me, is this a particular sport team bar? Is there a sport team that's in particular that you
yes, that's
cater
good
to?
you mentioned because Don was from Seattle, Tacoma, so we are Seahawks fans.
Ah, okay.
So yes, we are the Seahawks house. You can see that the logo on the bar, and that's why we keep it. But every team is welcome, of course. But yeah, we are Seahawks fans.
Seahawks fans. Okay, take note. And if you're not a Seahawks fan, you're still allowed. They'll let you come in the door. It's okay. tell us a little bit about drinks and things like that. You got a full service bar here. You got anything special coming out of that bar?
Yeah. Okay. Right now for the slow season, we do it a little different things. So we started with the happy hours or the bucket. The beers cheap for 120 pesos, for example, 6 beers. So that's a really good deal. You pay 20 pesos a beer. That's the best deal you can get.
Sure.
And cold beer for sure. But the margaritas, Lupita, make amazing then. And the well drinks is at 30 pesos the most of the time. So happy hours 2 for 50 pesos.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a good deal. So that's where our promotion we started now.
Excellent. Good. You also have live bands. You have live music come in here.
Yes. On Friday and Saturday night. Friday we had the Tequila Rush, 9 to 12 o'clock. They're amazing guys.
Yeah.
You will love them. And Saturday we had Gloria and the crew. They're amazing too. She's a great, beautiful voice. 9 to 12 o'clock too. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now I know that you also support some local charities here.
Yes,
also
we
at
do.
Captain Don's.
yes, we do.
Can you want to pitch them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. Well, there's a tradition for the house that Don started, and we continue it. And Canadian Thanksgiving, we make the dinner, and all the money we make from the food, we give it to the church, and they make very good things with the kids. They're working with the kids.
How nice is that?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a big day for us.
Yeah, it is.
Most important for us. But we always try to help the charities that come to ask for help, also sponsors. We do it too. So, we
Good.
try to involve.
It's always good to get involved with the community.
Right.
And people that come to visit Puerto Vallarta want to give back. This is a great way to do it. They can
Yes.
come and they can eat and they can have a good time and be giving to charity at the same time.
Right.
Right. Well,
right.
you're doing that. But
Right,
you know what I mean.
You have good times, meet a new people, and help them at the same time. It's amazing, right?
Must make you feel great.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Let's leave Captain Don's just for a minute. Let's go
Okay.
outside to Puerto Vallarta. And let's talk about food. I always ask people about food other than coming to Captain Don's.
Right.
If you were going to have breakfast somewhere.
My favorite place is Mi Cafe in downtown. That's my favorite place. Actually, I was there in the morning, yesterday in the morning.
Okay, so what do you get when you go
French toast is the best one I get. I love it.
there? It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes, and the coffee, they're so good. I love them.
Okay, great. All right. So how about lunch? You got a favorite lunch spot?
Lunch. Well, I got different places. I like the most Mexican places. Like the Patron is pretty good. I like the El Veneno or Coleguita. They're amazing too. I like the seafood. So yeah,
Yeah,
I pay for them.
very good. All right, those are both great spots. Okay, so how about a dinner?
Dinner, the big question. Well, that's different. I like the taco stands.
Yeah, me too.
Why not?
You got a favorite one?
Well, across the street there's the Carboncito, so they are very good and famous. So the pastel tacos, they're so good. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Okay, and how lucky is that? It's right across the street.
Just across the street, simple.
Yeah, go have a taco and then come over and make sure they're doing it right here, right?
Yes, and you can bring them when the music started, so
Yeah.
you eat tacos and hear our music too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't beat it. You
Yes,
can't
of
beat it.
course.
All right, excellent. All right, so if you were going to leave town for a day, just for a day and come back, where would you go?
I love Chapala. I like to go Chapala. I miss Guadalajara
Yeah.
for that way because Chapala is a beautiful place to spend all day with your friends. So
Nice. Can you do that in a day?
yeah.
You can.
Yes.
You drive fast.
Yeah. I do.
Okay, look out when Berenice is on the road, folks. Okay, so how about for 3 days? If you wanted to go somewhere for 3 days, where would you go?
Oh my goodness, what a question. That be oh my goodness. You make me trouble.
I know.
That's a beautiful places around Mexico, so it's hard to pick one. But probably I can say Colima. I love Colima. And I spent a lot of time there too. So yeah.
Tell us about Colima.
Colima is a small town, but beautiful, so traditional, and people are so friendly like here.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most clean cities in Mexico.
Really?
So that's a great thing to
Yeah.
see that. It's beautiful and so colorful, and it had a little small beach. So yeah, you have a city and town and a little beach, and you can camp and had a good times with our friends. So yeah.
Excellent. God, that's great. I'll have to look into that one of these days.
Yes.
If you had a word of advice for a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta, what would it be?
Jalapa.
Go to Yelapa.
Yes.
All right, and that would be obviously on Yelapa. You got to get on the water, right?
Right.
Okay. So would you leave from Boca, or have you ever left from the Los Muertos Pier?
Probably in Boca.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
I do all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, let's come back to Captain Don's. What are your hours here?
We open 10 in the morning to 2 a.m., Monday to Saturday,
Yeah.
and Sundays 12 to 12. So we never close the bar.
You're never closed, and
No,
you're going to
we
be
work so hard here.
yeah, and you're going to be. Looks like you're open and during the slow season, so you're just open all the time.
Yes, we open full time.
See, I'm sure that's a big deal. That really makes you more important in the area to people who live here full time. And,
Right.
And they know where to come because they know that you'll be here for them.
That's right.
Ah,
that's
that's
right.
fantastic.
We open for them. So yes.
Yeah. How do we find Captain Don's?
Actually, Captain Don's found me. It's very easy. It's very easy. Taxi drivers, you ask them and they pick you up right away. On the Facebook website, you put in Google Sport Bar and Puerto Vallarta and you get Captain Don. So it's very easy to get here.
Good. All right. Excellent.
Just cross the river.
What's your address here?
Okay, we are on the street, Honduras, 126, and Colonia, Cinco de Diciembre. So we are between the Avenue Mexico and Paraguay.
Excellent. All right. And I'm going to have a map that'll take you right to the front doors of Captain Don's. So go to my website. Go to www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. I'll have pictures. I'll have links. And I'll even have a picture of Berenice's smiling face. And Berenice, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Barry. I appreciate it. Thanks
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot. I want to meet you a time ago. So, yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited.
We are too. Thanks you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Berenice. What a treasure. Hey, they just did a nice remodel job over at Captain Don's, and so I've got some nice pictures of the new remodel job. I've got some pictures of the old Captain Don's too, so you got a little bit of both. I'm going to have links to their Facebook page and all that good stuff. You can get all that information as well as a map and all that great stuff. If you go to their Facebook page and like their Facebook page, then you can get all their information too. You can hear about their specials. You can hear about the bands that are coming to play. And they're very, very active on the Facebook. They post quite often. So like their page, and you will like their place. When you go to Captain Don's, it's a big place, lots of tables. It's a great place to meet people. And you can eat all day, you can drink all day, you can watch sports, listen to music, and the prices are just perfect. They're not going to break the bank, and besides that, you're going to be in a place where everybody knows your name. All right, well, that should do it for this week. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, then you must go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website. and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying, thanks. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you're going to use someone else. So do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, he's got his maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. And I have links to all of those in the show notes for this episode, and really actually all over my website. Once again, if you like this podcast, then please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review if you would. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to have a look there. I have links to the places we talk about, interesting pictures and more, right there in my blog posts and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? So thank you, Bill and Amy Triplett from Gringo for Gringo. What a great deal they have. What a great service they perform. Get on down there. They're going to make it so easy for you to get your Mexican residence. It's a no-brainer, folks. Let them help you. And, time is money, right? And look, thanks to Berenice. Thank you so much. I love your place. I love Captain Don's. You all need to go there, too. Get over and see what it's all about. I have maps. I have links. I have pictures. I have everything in my show notes. So come on out and see them over at Captain Don's Sports Bar. And hey, look, thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler, signing off with the wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino interno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto